Hello everyone, the Shadow Picture here, and you're watching All Things Nintendo. Today, we'll be talking about the 10 hardest Jiggies in Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie has to be one of the best Nintendo 64 games and the highlight of Rare's peak original IPs. Even though this game is fun, it has its challenging moments to the point of frustration, and the Jiggies are no exception. Before we get into the list, I have a few rules. 1. The Jiggies are based from start to finish. 2. The Jiggies I talk about are from the main levels, not to Grunty switches that makes the Jiggies in Gruntilda's layer, so I'm not counting the one for Freezeezy Peak. And 3. I'm using the Jiggy Wiki to find the official names of these Jiggies. The link is in the description. So with all that said, let's get into the list. Number 10 is from one of the best worlds in 3D gaming history, Freezeezy Peak. So you beak bust on a Christmas box which has Twinkies popping out of it going to the Christmas tree. While on their way, you have to kill the Twinkie munchers popping out of the holes that will eat the Twinkies. If 10 Twinkies reach the Christmas tree without getting eaten in an 80-second time limit, a button appears. Kazooie has to fire 3 eggs to an on switch. You as a player have a minute to fly and go through the star 3 times to permanently light up the tree and break the glass that the Jiggy was in. The hardest part about this Jiggy is where you have to kill the Twinkie munchers. It can get real annoying when they pop out right when the Twinkie is next to a hole. This Jiggy is so high on the list because the first part is the only hard part. I don't have any trouble with the egg shooting and the star flying. And we have another Jiggy on Freezeezy Peak for number 9. So you have to talk to Bottles and he'll teach you the Beak Bomb move. And you use it on the Sir Slush's hat where there's a red X on it. This sounds like the most simple and easiest Jiggy on the list, but trust me, it isn't. The Beak Buster move is risky because not only do you lose a feather while using the attack alone, but if you miss your target and hit something else, you take damage and this can result in you dying. Sure, you can go close to them, but they throw snowballs at you. In the same world you unlock the fast shoes, or turbo trainers, you run to a switch to open the roof of a ziggurat-like building and race all the way to the top in a 24-second time limit. Unlike the previous 2 spots I put on this list so far, I didn't beat this in my first try, but I did some shortcuts. The reason why this Jiggy was put on this list is based on you collecting the things on the way. It's impossible doing that without missing your chance at getting the entrance. You have to take shortcuts. Once you're in there, you swim down to collect your prize. And I like that after collecting it, the water gets drained and it's easier to do some other Jiggies in Gobi's Valley. Before we speak on this next Jiggy, let's talk about the level itself. Rusty Bucky Bay is the 8th level in the game and is based off of cargo ships near some warehouses on a bay. Unanimously, it's the worst level in the game. A good chunk of the time you spend terribly swimming in the oily water. Unlike most worlds, the water takes double your air and you can't reset your bubbles if floating from the top due to the water being polluted. Now let's talk about the Jiggy. Believe me, this is not the only time we're talking about this level. The player has to go to the same hole the anchor comes out of that's trapping Snorkel. You go through a hallway with 4 grilled chompos on a wall. You beak bust on a switch that brings the anchor up, releasing Snorkel. The Jiggy is where Snorkel was at. The hardest part is swimming controls. It's so terrible to control and master. And this Jiggy doesn't make sense. I get that it's a video game, but how is Snorkel still alive after swimming in that oily water, getting trapped by an anchor, and coughing out a Jiggy? When I first thought of beating this Jiggy, I was like, man, this dude ain't got nothing on me. Until I played him, and I was wrong. In order for you to race Boggy is that you need to turn into a walrus, Next you go to where Boggy waits, then you race him, and finally you win. Except that I forgot to mention that you have to race through a slalom gates without missing any, while also having Boggy push you around and taunt you if you're slowing down. What makes this hard is the controls. Walrus Banjo can't turn enough to where he lands in the icy pool, and Boggy sometimes pushes you out of the way from the gates. It's so frustrating. Navigate the engine room. Enter the cold ventilator on the stern of the ship and beak bust the fan switch inside. This will slow down the fans in the engine room, allowing access to the platform with the Jiggy. To enter the engine room, look for a small door on the smokestack closest to the stern and beak barge it. Once inside, carefully navigate your way through the engine room's obstacles to reach the Jiggy. If at any point the door loses a life, the fan switch must be activated again. Okay, the engine room is where speedrunners rage and quit because it's too stressful. Even if the fans are slowing down, you can still get hit by the fans and possibly die. What the balls? This Jiggy is so annoying. Mama turns into Croc Banjo and you go into one of the two nostrils of the big croc. In there you see 6 notes and Mr. Vile, the greediest croc of all, and gives you these minigames to play. The first one is that you have to eat more Yumlies than him. The second is that you have to eat more Yumlies and avoid the Grumblies. The third and final one is that you eat both Yumlies and Grumblies, with ever on top of the screen. Mr. Vile is too fast. Like, too fast. When you eat less than him, or if you tie, you lose that round and he chases you, taking away 2 HP when on contact. Sure, you can avoid losing health by walking out of the arena, but you have to start from the first minigame again, even if you made it to round 3. After beating this monstrosity and collecting the Jiggy, Mr. Vile offers you the harder version of this game where if you lose a round, you lose a life. No thank you, I'm good. Now we're going to the Jiggies where I have to use cheats just for me not to die. The infinite air cheat. The deep key is the main Jiggy in Clanker's Cavern because you raise Clanker and almost half of the world is accessible with the fish floating. So you swim to the lowest point in the level to where you see a key. You swim through a key 3 times, raising Clanker over water and the Jiggy on top of him. The main problem is the swimming controls. It's hard to use and feels like Banjo-Kazooie swim faster than they need to. Also, you lose air while being underwater for a long time and risk of you dying. What adds insult to injury is that there's 8 notes and a green ginger. I feel guilty adding 4 Jiggies from Freezeezy Peak. It's the exact same thing as the first one, but more ridiculous. First, Boggy is faster. Second, your normal Banjo. Third, the item you need, you have to wait for the next level in order to unlock the fast shoes. And fourth, it's harder to control. Sure, this is the fastest Jiggy on this list, but it's too fast, and you can lose health during the race when contacting the water. Even though this Jiggy is terrible, it is a walk in the park compared to the obvious number 1. What else would it be? Swim through the propellers is unanimous number 1. Let's start after you collect the Jiggy in the engine room. There are 2 switches in the room and you need to hit both of them to stop the propellers from moving. You have 65 seconds to lead the torture, climb the ladders, run to the back of the ship, and reach the propeller section to collect the Jiggy in the oily water. All under 65 seconds. Even with the infinite air cheat, I still have problems with this Jiggy. Even after you collect it, the propellers start to move again and it's an instant death once touching it. Just navigating the engine room alone makes this number 1. You guys are probably wondering why Mad Monster Mansion or Cluck Clock Woods' Jiggies aren't on this list. Well, Mad Monster Mansion was surprisingly easy And while Click Clock Wood was time consuming and did have some annoying enemies, the world itself wasn't hard. In fact, I wrote the script right after I 100% on Rusty Bucket Bay, and I put the script on hold and decided to play Click Clock Wood so I wouldn't jinx myself. Got nothing else for this video? Don't waste 65 seconds. Like and subscribe, and I'll share more Nintendo content just like this. I'm the Shadow Picture, and I'll see you guys very soon. Later.